you should love yourself more than anyone first. And from a place of healing and harmony, you can help others. I'm kind to me. I appreciate my weaknesses and my flaws, but I also embrace my strengths and qualities.
Hey, how you doing? J-Man here, and thank you for having it locked to yet another edition of the Launchpad podcast. And I truly believe this is going to make your life better. The gentleman across from me is the host of Calming Anxiety. This is a big podcast, and it's helping people all around the world through guided meditation. It's charted in 150 countries and creeping up on 6 million downloads. Congratulations on that, Martin Hewlett.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, I think no one's more surprised than I am. I started my podcast 3 years ago on a budget Amazon special USB mic for $25, a secondhand laptop, and the business is now, it's going well. Yeah,
that's good.
I'm a happy man.
If anything, for the podcaster out there, or someone thinking about doing a podcast, you don't have to go all out. Just start with the basics. And
absolutely.
Here are some of the things that we're going to talk about this evening is going to be the benefits of meditation, the simplicity of it. So many people think that they're doing it wrong, and really there's not too many wrong ways to do meditation. That's about all I know about meditation and how it can change your life. So what brought you, A, to meditation, then B, thinking like maybe this is something that I can bring to the masses through a podcast?
A bizarre set of circumstances and coincidences. I got into podcasting purely by chance. So 4 years ago, I trained as a clinical hypnotherapist. Or let me just very quickly, 8 years ago, I had a huge mental breakdown. Completely lost it at work. Had some incredible therapy called Rewind for PTSD for services military personnel. And it changed my life like that in a heartbeat. So I wanted to learn how to do it. Found this hypnotherapy course, went on it, loved it, excelled at it, changed the way I think. And it just trickled down and escalated until I found what I wanted to do. I had no set plan. And it went from that first day of generating 7 cents in ad revenue, to which everyone, my friends, my work colleagues, took the mick, and rightly so. They go, oh, you're going to get rich off that. To the show generating over 3 figures every day just on pre and post ad rolls.
And what are the benefits of these meditations, daily meditations for people in general? Like, why does someone want to get into meditation?
So the best way to describe it, I have a very fiery imagination, very sort of ADHD, can't focus. My shows used to take, although they're 10 minutes long, they would take me an hour or more to record because I couldn't focus. I would say just stupid things or be distracted. Now, because I do a daily 10-minute meditation, it's me. I can focus for an hour. I can commit to a task. My ability to control my erratic personality disorder is just amazing, which is why I now do the show and want to share it, because I've seen how mindfulness, and by that I mean being aware of the dialogue in our minds. Years ago, I used to be so hypercritical of me. People's, you go through life going, oh, I'm an idiot, I'm a fool, I'm a failure. Don't do that. You will never find a hypnotherapist who is unhappy, because we're so aware of our internal dialogue. I am not cruel on myself. You should love yourself more than anyone first. And from a place of healing and harmony, you can help others. I'm kind to me. I appreciate my weaknesses and my flaws, but I also embrace my strengths and qualities.
Right.
And I'm just honest. And being mindful and meditating, it helps suppress that storm that used to rage inside my thoughts. And I can, with breathing, and I know people go, wait, we all breathe. But when you're mindful about your breathing, when you slow the out breath and feel that relaxation, I no longer get panic attacks. I no longer feel scared or nervous about outside. You know, I still have my moments, and we all do. And I still have my sort of 3 monthly cycle of depression, you know, but I bounce back quicker, faster, happier, more positive.
Right. I don't think a lot of people are aware of that internal dialogue that they have going all the time. It's
Hmm.
like that voice, that decision that's made for you before you really ever give it any thought. I used to do these things called Words of Wisdom Wednesday when I was on the radio, and it would be little 1-minute segments about, you know, being kind or the power of a smile, awareness, like you said. And there was one called Burnt Bacon and Peanut Butter. And when I heard that on a burger, I thought like that would be disgusting, and didn't fate have it to where one day there was a burger that ended up at my work that was peanut butter and bacon, and I tried it and I liked it. And it was only because I was going through this personal evolution of my own where I was into trying new things.
Yeah.
And that was just an example that really stuck with me as to how many times that we potentially shut things down based on that little voice in our head that tells us that something is bad, or why we react a certain way to something that we hear. And meditation, obviously, is a way that you can harness a little bit more control over those thoughts and how you're going to react to the stimuli that life throws at you.
Absolutely. But let me just pick you up on the burnt bacon and peanut butter.
Yeah, let's do it.
One of my snacks, because I went carb free and keto a year ago. I reversed type 2 diabetes. My cholesterol's come down. My blood pressure's come down. I'm off all medication. One of my snacks is paprika bacon. So I grill it with paprika and a bit of oil on it. And then when it's cold, I put peanut butter on it. And my colleagues go, what on earth are you eating? And I go, try it. And they're like, what a combination.
Yeah.
And you do it yourself. Yeah. The thing about meditation, people who don't do it think, you know, you need to sit there, you need to do this. You don't. You just need to stop, focus on your breathing, make the out breath longer than the in breath, and just relax your thoughts.
Martin, for the person that is new to meditation, or let's just say thinking about doing meditation. So I understand some of the basics, and let's say devil's advocate, I've tried meditation before, but I can't keep my mind clear, or I can't focus on this, and how it's okay to stray away. It's about being able to get that focus back. And maybe you can deal with, you know, some of those frustrations going through it yourself at one point, like it not being able to have that Zen moment that people think they should always be having when trying a meditation.
It's so much easier to follow someone, to listen. And even then, within mine, I will say at some point, you will become distracted. Sounds from the outside world will drift in. You'll have random thoughts, daydreams of tasks left undone. This is normal. It's natural. Most people go, I failed because that's happened. You haven't. You've just spent a lifetime being wired for everything. And it's absolutely natural human response. At our brainstem level, you've got to be hypervigilant for any threat. But the way I guide people is they focus on the natural rhythm of the rise and fall of their chest, and they focus on my voice, and they, with even a few sessions, they're able to purely focus because they've got that audible guide. And without arrogance or narcissism, I've listened to my own now, not my old ones. Oh my God, can't listen to the old ones. Because I've become comfortable listening to a guide. I think if I tried to meditate now without it, I could do it maybe 50-50. But I have one of my cohorts who I did my hypnotherapy diploma with. she can hypnotize me like that because her voice is perfect for me. And I do say that to people, you know, if my podcast doesn't work for you, don't give up. It's like music or dance. Someone likes Taylor Swift, someone likes whatever, dubstep, you know, we all like different genres of music or tones of voices. Just because one person's singing doesn't appeal to you, someone else's will. So, I mean, most people love my voice on the chat because mine comes from empathy, not because I want to run a multi-million-pound business. You know, there's some massive apps out there with you know, they pay for Hollywood actors to do it, but that's not empathy. And one constant feedback, mine is from a place of, I've been there. I know roughly the pain that these people are in, and I want it to stop. So yeah, podcasting, empathy, mindfulness. It's easy if you've got a guide who gets it. And I think that's where my strengths are.
And do you find that people that generally come to meditation, it's to find that peace from some type of trauma, or
it's always trauma.
Always trauma.
Okay. Yeah. Either from their childhood, and most people's as adults, they're practically always rooted there. There's 5% that have had bad things happen, loss, bereavement, illness. And mine isn't just meditation. It's falling back on guided clinical hypnosis, but a deep desire to help, especially the younger generation, not spend a life negatively anchored to past trauma like I was. And mine is deep rooted, you know, childhood trauma, in secure psychiatric care at 14, sectioned, couple of breakdowns. But the power of mindfulness and meditation, I am proof of how good it is. And off all meds, healthy lifestyle. Yeah. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I think, I did that. And I did it myself. And I believe anyone can. You've just got to own it, accept it, and understand there will be dips, but the bright days will be so much better.
I think what might keep a couple of people away from meditation sometimes is this thought that there has to be some grandiose spirituality to it. And I would think maybe that comes from, like you said, the whole ching ching, like that kind of thing, and having to come from a place of real Zen, opposed to maybe a little bit more of a real world approach. Now, in your meditation specifically, but I mean, it does come somewhat from a place of source, like you are getting down to the core of yourself. Would that be a really bad example of putting that together in a statement?
No, it is. It's about, one of my key elements is you're going to reunite mind, body, and soul. So you're going to be aware of your feelings, the space that you inhabit, but you're also going to be honest about how you think and feel, how you react to situations, and analyze that very negative monologue in your thoughts. And when you start to become self-aware of the way you think, like if you're looking at social media or politics or your friends, and it's always a negative thought, why? So many years ago, I realized, well, these are my opinions and values, but why are they them? They're a product of how I was brought up, the demographic I lived in, but it doesn't make me right. And I have this desire now to understand all parts of life, society, so that I can just live in harmony and balance with as much as possible. And that's what mindfulness does to me.
Right.
I think it's elevated my sense of happiness. It's walking out the door, like where I am in the UK, it's wet and miserable out there, but I'm like, oh, that's nice. Feel that wind on my face. That's life. That's living. I just love the moment. But then I've spent 20 years as a frontline paramedic. So I've had the privilege to see life at its best and its worst. And I choose now to want to see the best all the time.
All right. Happiness is a choice. Barry
It
Neil
is.
Kaufman, one of my favorite
Mm.
books. And it's really how you frame things, that you don't have to be laying down on your back or sitting in a chair to be, quote unquote, meditating, right? Opposed to it
Right.
being more of a lifestyle, and the decisions that you make and the lens that you choose to view the world through is also a form of meditation. So just being able to take those things that maybe you would regularly think as being undesirable and turning those into moments of joy or elation, or at the bare minimum, appreciation.
Well, yeah, I want to do a set of YouTube shorts on urban meditation. So set up like a spy cam on myself in the shops, in the supermarket, parking the car, and just stopping and feeling the world around me and just going, I'm in touch with the universe. I appreciate this moment. And as I get older and slide gracefully towards 60, I've lived a really privileged life, and I appreciate every second even more than I did this time last year and a few years ago. Okay? And I believe we all should. It's so easy to focus on the negatives, on what's going wrong, on things you don't like. Why? Just simply why? Why not focus on everything, like being alive, especially people who live in a Western society? We have so much more than our predecessors ever did. And yeah, we can all look around us for some negatives, some political things we don't like, social unfairness. But you yourself, yeah, I think be the solution rather than the problem.
Right. So, Martin, so this is interesting. Let's go there.
Okay.
In regards to, we just went through some major trauma over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
With the pandemic, and I can only imagine, and maybe it's completely different for you, but for most, it was probably the most challenging period of time in their lives, and that's a privileged statement in itself. So let's say for someone like me that wasn't doing my meditation, and then there's Martin who does his meditation. What were the benefits that Martin was getting out of that process through the pandemic? That, I mean, you must have been looking around thinking, like, I wish I could give this to everybody here.
Yeah, and so I did. I really focused on the analytics, the data. I'm fairly OCD about those sort of things. And my very early background is I was a software engineer. So I used to write code. I would go out for 8-mile walks at 6 a.m. to get my fitness, keep my fitness up. And it also, long walks and running got rid of my back pain for a few days. But I would stand on top of this hill overlooking the coastline of North Devon and just breathe and just feel the world. And that's how I do it. It is sort of Zen-like and Eastern culture driven to expand your consciousness and reach out so that you can appreciate nature. And it calms me. My least favorite emotion is anger. And it's difficult because I realize I have a deep, dark trait in me. But being mindful, breathing, like my strap line at the end of every podcast is be kind. And I need to live by that. And that's wonderful for a man who's carried a lot of emotional trauma to control that. I think that is the best thing that meditation has given me. And it's been challenged lately. I'm very open about this. 6 weeks ago, my long-term relationship ended. Quite a surprise and shock to me. And whereas I think quite a lot of guys my age demographic would be hostile, my pride was hurt. I refuse to let that happen. And it has been a struggle, but I'm like, I can be kind. I can rise above this. I can be the man I've always wanted to be. And now I'm supporting my ex-partner in her transition with the kids to their new home. And that is a massive testimony to the power of meditation and mindfulness. The old me wouldn't have done that. And that's nothing that I would ever be proud of. But now to control masculine pride, anger, hurt, rage, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah. No, that's a very powerful story. And through the pandemic, that's grown me as well. Some of those things that you're speaking of, the fundamentals of meditation and doing my best to be kind. One of my lines from radio was "Take care, be well, love simply because you can." So
Awesome.
we're very aligned that way. That's why I'm having a chat with you, because you're great.
Yeah.
And to not take things personally, right? That I umpire softball as well. Like, that's something I do. I officiate. And, you have your guys that will give you a hard time, and realizing that, like, listen, they're not angry at me, Jason Petrunik, the umpire. This is how they are with every umpire. And I'm just getting it like everybody else is. So not taking things personally and being able to come from a place of empathy.
It's a driving thing for me. I like to understand other people. Sometimes when I question, I don't see how I come across, so I can be quite challenging, but I do it because I deeply want to understand why people think the way they do, regardless of politics or religion, because they all fascinate me. As a UK resident, my absolute guilty pleasure, bizarrely, is American politics. I've taken up ultra running. I'll do 2-hour runs, and I listen to American podcasts, political ones, and I like them on both sides. Right? I know which one I would align to, obviously right down the middle, because I'm caring. But it fascinates me why people think the way they do, even when the facts are absolutely opposing their point of view. But I would love to sit down with people and say, please explain yourself. And I like to be challenged as well. I really do. Because I don't know I'm right. I think I'm right. But I love when someone says or disagrees. And I go, oh, great. Explain to me why you think that. Let's challenge my perceptions. But people generally don't like to do that anymore. It's very we've lost it. The art of debate. We have lost that at the moment. And society, culture needs to bring that back in. But then that's my open, mindful way.
Right.
Well, I used to be a very damaged, reactionary person. And by my own admission and standards, I wasn't the nicest of people. But then I had a fractured mind.
Right. I had one of my most controversial guests that I was not expecting to be controversial, and now that was the flat earther, this guy named Dave, and he is quite possibly the nicest guest I've ever had on this show. Just a big, warm heart, and I came across him I had a friend that had him on another podcast, and this guy gets spoken down to so like, he gets it really rough sometimes in podcasts, and you would think he would maybe go off the deep end or be mean back, and he has such a kind heart. And for me, it was just a great exercise in having someone come to the table with views that I don't necessarily have to agree with, and just be able to have a conversation and hear what he was all about. And I would hope that, regardless of whether it's something you believe in or not, is not so important. But like you said previously, being genuinely curious about why other people feel the way that they do, and having a deep empathy for individuals. And then at least, I mean, instead of saying something negative just because you don't believe what somebody else believes, say, well, you know what? I actually had a conversation with this gentleman.
Yeah.
I have a better understanding as to why he thinks that way. And now I'm just going to go on with my round earth day. And that it doesn't have to be anything more than that. So, Martin, this has been a great chat. And thank you for being so transparent with me and my listeners. And I really hope that they do find your podcast. I've been like, I will do a personal vouch for Martin here myself, is that this is a gentleman that I've been speaking to for maybe about the last year, kind of going back and forth about the podcast. And I've kind of seen this grow with you. I've been following along on social media, and he is truly a heart guy, and he is coming from the right place. And it's no wonder that you're doing well, brother, because your truth is resonating with other people's truth, and you're trying to bring them closer to their best self. And if people want to find you online and be a part of your wonderful community, where should they go?
Easiest is calminganxiety.net. But YouTube, I've got the handle at calminganxiety. So all of my podcasts are now there with this beautiful face. And they're daily. But I'm on Spotify and Apple as Calming Anxiety. And it'd just be lovely to have a few more people just reconnect with themselves and then go out and help others. I want to be the best virus the world has ever had.
I love it. Thank you for sharing your time, Martin.
Thanks, Jason.
All right. And to you, thank you once again for listening to the Launchpad podcast. Make sure to head over to his YouTube page, give him a subscribe, watch a couple of videos, and then over to Spotify. And please do the same for me if you enjoyed the content. And I know you did. You can find me at thelaunchpadpodcast.com. Until next time, you take care, be well, and love simply because you can.